Hi, how are you? And I'm your host, Jay or Grim. So, without further ado tonight, unfortunately, this might be short, this might not be. The first story. My sister's parting gift to me was the video that killed her. If she'd known that, she wouldn't have let me watch it. She certainly wouldn't have watched it herself. Amelia and I were close. These are, there are, there was only 2 years between us. My little sister was close to turning 20 when it happened. I sometimes forget that it only happened weeks ago, 5 weeks ago to be exact. I don't know how long I have until it happens to me. Now, Amelia and I were like this. Just picture my index and middle finger coiling around another. I know siblings are supposed to fight at some point, even close ones who claim to be best friends. But the thing is, we never fought. It had nothing to do with us being special in some way. We didn't fight because we needed each other. We were always that way. It didn't come down to anything, not one thing. Our deadbeat dad definitely drew us together, but our codependency continued after we moved out of his house 2 years ago. And unfortunately, our mom died during childbirth. So, family members blamed us for her passing. I'm skirting around the truth in all honesty, but the key reason for our tight bond was more wretched and disturbing than all of those terrible factors combined. For that matter, I don't know whether those factors had anything to do with our condition. Essentially, starting in our childhood, Amelia and I had issues with food. Kind of makes me cry to think about it, but whether driven by genetics or environment, I don't know. The cause is blurry, but the result is all that matters in the end, isn't it? We were never formally diagnosed with anything. Dad didn't believe in head doctors, but I blame myself. Always have. Being the older sister, I must have influenced Amelia, and I'll never forgive myself for that. I did try to stop her from copying me, but I suppose she wouldn't have been able to understand why I told her to keep eating, only to do the exact opposite myself. With adulthood came independence. Too much independence, perhaps. Amelia even joined the same university as me, and we started living together. We had two flatmates, lovely girls who were vaguely aware of our eating issues. And last February, I came home from a lecture to find my younger sister giddily bouncing around her room. Amelia said that she'll find a way to kill that craving. I remember only fragments of what she said because I was too focused on her alarmingly bloodshot eyes. Though I told myself that the daylight must have been playing tricks on me. Over the years of my battle against inner demons, I've learned not to trust my eyes. And that would be throughout the unholy circumstances to follow, my undoing. After all of this time, the only thing that really persists is a memory of her face. It wasn't just the eyes, but the mouth. And her laughter was so slight, verging on silence, and her lips trembled, suggesting that behind her her breathy giggles, she might be teetering on the principle of tears. I do, however, remember Amelia telling me about this TikTok video about being responsible for her newfound glow. A video posted by some new age influencer, one whose account I didn't find when I searched it. And I, a very tetchy elder in a young woman's body, nagged my sister for using that harmful app, lectured her about how it was worsening our shared mental health problems. After all, for months we promised each other that we were going to get better. Countless times, of course, as it's never that easy. You don't understand, Flora, said Amelia. I haven't used TikTok since this morning and I won't ever use it again. I snorted. Well done. Still, as much as I admire your 5-hour break, let's not brand you an off-grid girly just yet. Listen, I haven't been on my phone since this morning, she said in a whisper. This piqued my interest. Well, that's slightly more impressive. I've forgotten the last time you took a break that long. I reckon you still use it during your sleep. Exactly, and I'm telling you that it all comes down to this video. I feel different, Flora. She insisted, nodding at her computer's monitor, and she told us all to put down our phones and follow a website link. So I visited the address, and that's how I found this downloadable file. YourForeverFeast.mp4. Amelia sighed contentedly. It can help you too, Flora. I only watch this video whenever I feel a craving for food and that urge just goes away. Then finally came my frown. Goes away? My sister's hand hovered over her mouse and she said, let me show you. But against anything, my own hand shot outwards and I seized her wrists, stopping her from opening the video. I wasn't even sure why I had such a dramatic reaction. I was basing my worry on only her odd demeanor and what I assumed to be a Trojan-laden video file. Still something off. I told her she shouldn't watch the video. And I don't want you to watch it again either, I said. In fact, I want you to delete it. I should have made sure that she did so. I might have been able to end it all before that obsession grew. But that evening during dinner, I managed to eat half of my soup, which wasn't bad for me, not bad. But Amelia, didn't even attempt to eat her plate on the other hand, yet my stomach was the only one that was growling. I asked her, was she okay? As she had been for hours, my sister was still releasing a series of breathing chuckles through her marginally ajar lips. Tears somewhere between joyous and tortured stained her cheeks, and then, without responding to me or even looking in my direction, she took her plate of untouched food into the kitchen. Then she went up to her room. She never came out all night. Strangely, however, at 3 a.m. when I went to go use the bathroom, I noticed a blue glow slipping underneath her door. Something I found a little concerning given that Amelia, despite all of her mental struggles, has always been one for early nights and early starts. Over the following weeks, Amelia took steps backwards, but not going forwards. Before that wretched video entered her life, I managed to get the two of us, at the very least, to eat a little something at breakfast and dinner time. But that had gone out of the window. She became noticeably frail. Meanwhile, I was eating more, and I forced myself at the very least to eat a full bowl of cereal each morning, as I felt that we couldn't both spiral at the same time. In addition, I hoped to be a role model for Amelia, hoped she would copy me again. But her daily ritual of watching that video continued, and she was watching it more than once a day. She barely left her room, and the girl who entered wasn't the same one who left. There was always less of her afterwards. In September, after I finished my course, Amelia moved into a new house. I returned home, hoping her dad might be able to knock some sense into her. That was a tall order from him, but let's just leave it at that. Anyway, I eventually gave an impromptu visit to my sister. She really did, as promised, stop using social media. choosing to communicate with me via text instead. But those had become too sporadic by December. After a week without hearing from her, I decided that turning up at her house unannounced was the only thing left to do. Amelia's housemates wore strangely pale faces, which only skyrocketed my anxiety while I asked about her welfare. One girl said she didn't know much as she spent nights at her boyfriend's place. The other said that she hadn't seen Amelia since the Tuesday before, but that was 9 days earlier. The only indication of her presence was that blue, ever persistent light below her door. I ran up the stairs despite protests from her housemates huddling in the lobby. They didn't follow me, however, didn't try to stop me, and now, looking back, I think they were scared. There's a lot that comes to mind in retrospect, their shuddering faces and their stammering answers. Surely, something as banal as an unsociable housemate wouldn't have been enough to fill their eyes with such fear. One girl's eyes were pooling with tears. I think there were things they didn't want to tell me. But stumbling across the unit's landing, a blue light guided me towards her room. I knew it was her room. It split through the crack below the entrance, and I didn't shout for her. I didn't knock. I just rammed the handle downwards and shoulder rammed the door. But it was unlocked, and I realized I feel like a dodo. And I tripped through to the other side. I found myself in a room with drawn drapes, a dark room, and darkness somehow barely scratched by the blinding blue light of her monitor. The only thing the screen illuminated, save for the carpet leading towards the door, was her chair. My sister sat in it, head resting on her desk. My withered sister, my unmoving sister, and my ears were ringing. But I must have screamed, mustn't I? Mustn't I've screamed at the body no more than threadbare flesh clinging to a frail skeleton. And worst of all, this wasn't the thing that terrified me. What terrified me was her lower face. The top had decomposed to reveal her skull's eye sockets. It remained mostly intact, and it revealed her lips. She died with a smile on her face. Perhaps I would have been haunted by that sight for longer had it not been for the weightier terror drawing my eyes. The terror that prompted me to write this in the first place. A video was looping on Amelia's screen. I know you want to know what I saw. I'd like to tell you, but it wouldn't mean a thing to you. It has to be seen to be understood. It's more than a video, more than a tapestry of black and blue pixels arranged in just the right way to put a wide smile on my face, to take the weight from my body. I don't know who or what made it, but the video is not natural, not of this world, and I tried to look away, but I found I couldn't, or I wouldn't. I became detached from the world, detached from my senses, detached from the screams of Amelia's housemates, detached from the conversations with paramedics who tore me away from my sister's body, but not detached from fear, and I felt plenty of that. I still feel plenty of that, no matter how widely I smile at my wasting body in the mirror. God fucking damn it. I don't want to see fucking niggas talking about music. Shut the fuck up. But much like my late sister, I wear that awful smile on my face. I still release that breathy laugh. And that's why I'm so afraid. I don't know what's inside me. I'm detached above all else from hunger. I watch the video, and it fills me instead. Well, sorry that we broke immersion for a slight second, but that's horrifying to lose someone you love so dearly more than anything else in this world to a video that just something that you wanted more than anything else in this world. And sure, you had it right in front of you, but this was more important than food. This was more important than anything else. And it fills you up instead, like you didn't need anything else. That's horrifying because once you look at it, nothing else will satiate you, nothing else will satisfy you or fill you the same way that that thing did. And the only way that you're even alive in the first place is because of someone else's intervenience. Not of your own, but through theirs. And that's gotta be horrifying. That's gotta be tantalizing. And even though you saw that person who passed to you, that's horrifying. But what they were looking at that caused things to just go that way, something you can't even describe, an unescapable happiness that you derive from it, that's more horrifying than what happened to that loved one. And it draws you in ever near. Stories like this is why I always say to just cherish those who are there. Well, I made a promise to someone that I will try to wake up early, so I am very sorry if our midnight tales happen to be shorter than usual. But on the days whenever I don't have work, I promise you, there'll be more than what we both would want or need or even ask for. Don't forget that everything is sacred. This is your host, Grim, or Jay, and I'll be signing out. Until then, I'll see you then.